pack is messing with me because that would be terrible.
I have it up. I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks. Ah, so much micromanagement. Okay. I'll put a little announcement in Discord. Did you get an ad?
Yeah.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Okay, no, it looks fine, man.
Announcements. Yeah,
Honestly.
for real? Oh, good, 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 good. Everyone, we are live tonight. We are live. We are live. We are live right now with for the WT World Championship list review. Send. Okay. Hi, Cal Ray, the face to the name. Hey, thanks for tuning in tonight, man. Good to see you here. Not just live, but live. Yeah, we're live. Okay, so we'll give it a sec. Let some more people join. We're at, oh wow, we already have 15 views. Nice. Pete's here. Hey, Pete, how are you doing? Okay, so hello, my fellow kin. Welcome to the live. I'm joined tonight by three very special guests who, unfortunately, right now are not visible. I think if one of them wants to become visible, they'll let us know, and then I'll try to reconfigure my entire setup here as I'm using somebody else's computer today. And it's been a headache to set this up. So they are here. There are some voices in the background, but they are going to be joining us tonight for the stream. So we have, of course, Jordan Stuckenschneider, who you may all recognize on the server as the exalted sorcerer of Tzeentch, which is blasphemy and heresy to the kin. He is also one of the interviewees we had on the channel, and just a big advocate for 18 bikes and some really hot takes on the Hearthguard not being great, which stirred up a lot of drama on the server. So, Jordan, say hi to everybody.
Howdy, I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, the ghost of the ancestors. Yeah, Pulp.
The
And
voices.
we also have Dan Tran from Vietnam, from the Vietnamese event that we looked at, who attended the interview. Dan actually just commuted like 30 hours today, and he still managed to find the energy to be on the stream tonight, as he's actually attending the event, I think for Age of Sigmar, if I'm not mistaken, Dan?
Yep, I'll be repping the Stormcast this time.
The Stormcast Eternals, nice. And then last but not least, we have our Necron Overlord, who has recently changed and is a full stinky Death Guard boy now. And the PBC King himself, the bane of my existence, to the bikes, we have Sam P, who is here on the live as well tonight.
What's up, everybody?
So, guys, let me know if the volume is okay. Like I said, totally new configuration here. I'm using a 2011 PC to stream this, so we'll see how it goes. But it sounds like so far everything is good. So let me know in chat if the volume is fine. We have Mad Ta here enjoying it. Sounds good. Great, Ben. Thank you. Okay, cool. So as many of you guys know, the World Championship is happening, I think, this weekend, right? Or like tomorrow or Friday or something? It's super soon.
Tomorrow is check-in, and then Thursday is round one.
Thursday. Okay. Wow, nice. That was fast. It's a good thing we put the stream for tonight and not Thursday when I was thinking of doing it originally.
Already through round two.
Yeah, already round two. So there are a few Votann lists. I think there's about 10. And I thought it would be really interesting if we pulled the great minds of the kin together tonight to look at some of these lists in a little bit of detail, kind of give our thoughts on them, maybe inspire you guys to try something new out as well, and just engage in a nice discussion and see. That was weird. YouTube just kicked me over to a different channel. Really? Well, YouTube is definitely out to get me. Maybe I don't monetize the videos enough and they're shutting me down. We'll see. But yeah, I thought it would be cool if we kind of go through these lists and we all give our feedback on them, our thoughts, and maybe even our predictions for who we think is going to do the best at the event out of the fellow kin. Mine is the third list. This is my first big one. Oh, nice. We got one of the attendees here. That's awesome. Demetrius
Wow.
Palmer. Cool. Well, we're going to get to your list in a little bit, so stay tuned on the High Council's thoughts. And Dan, if I'm not mistaken, you just said before we went live that Art of War is predicting Leagues of Votann winning the event.
Goonhammer. But yes.
Goonhammer is predicting it. Okay, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty cool. So maybe we will get some nerfs in December. I think
Oh god.
we've just been getting points
Manifesting
cuts
nerfs.
since like last year, which is it's so good.
We've been the most steady rock and stone faction.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. It's so funny.
Very few has changed between January to now.
Yeah, and like the funny thing is that it's like we always drop by like 5 or 10 points, and it's not enough to actually do anything meaningful. So you usually just end up swapping which enhancements you're taking, and it's like the most minute change. Don't speak of the nerfs, yeah. Yeah, you'll jinx it. Yeah, hopefully not. Okay, guys, so I'll pull up the lists here. I think I sent it to you in the Discord. Maybe I didn't. I'll just send that right now, and we could all look.
I will say,
yeah.
really quickly that 2 of these people have the same list.
Oh, really? I didn't have a chance
Yeah.
to look through. That's cool. That's interesting.
It's the 2 German players. They have combined their minds and are taking the same exact list. So
Is
I
it
guess we'll talk
30
about
Berserks? Because that's like
No.
the big trend now. Okay.
that's about the only skew we haven't seen.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needs to happen, but it is not yet on the table.
Not yet on the table yet. So just for like a little bit of context, so Jordan, you could correct me if I'm wrong here because I think you know a little bit more about the structure than I do. But basically, there's like pools of basically matchups that are going to be happening. So depending on which pool you're in, you face different players, different lists, and then whoever wins those pools ends up getting paired together until there's like the final winner.
Yeah. I know it's slightly different from last year. Last year they had like double eliminations, so you could lose a series and still be in the contention to win Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just single elimination. Once you lose, you can't win Worlds anymore, but you'll keep on playing until the event's over.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I mean, I kind of like that. It's high stakes, right? Like, you really can't afford any loss whatsoever. It's going to be like the best of the best. Dice and luck, everything in between. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's take a look. So we have a few lists. We have, I'm terrible at converting letters to numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, great. Perfect. So again, just keep in mind, I guess, the context of that like we're just looking at the lists isolated here. We don't really know the matchups. We do have access to the pools, but again, within those pools, I think that's a little bit of a very deep dive for us to do tonight to predict like the pool outcomes. Maybe if we have some time, we could look at that later, but I think that's a bit beyond our capabilities right now. So maybe we'll just start with the first list here, A from Andrew Johnson. So this one's titled Drew's Dwarves, coming in at 1990 points. So it looks like kicking things off, we have a Brokir Ironmaster. And I guess I'll just say now, I was telling you, Jordan, this on the DMs in Discord, that it looks like a lot of lists are bringing a Brokir Ironmaster to this event, which took me by surprise because I think the E-Champ's probably a little bit better to have at 60 points with the Involved. But we could share our thoughts on that in a little bit when we clear this list. So we have a regular Brokir at 65 points. We have the E-Champ, a Cal. We're taking one squad of battle lines, so we got one set of warriors. Standard loadout with the auto rifles and the rotary cannon. We have two Sagittars taking L7 missiles, so no high las. So we've gone for a little bit more consistency here. And then, very interestingly, we have two squads of Thunderkin, a 6-man and a 3-man. We then have 5 Berserks with the Mauls, and then 2 squads of 5 Hearthguard with the classic Vulcanites and Concussion Gauntlets. And then as we wrap the list up, we have 2 Land Forts with the standard loadout, a 6-man squad of Pioneers, a 3-man squad of Pioneers, and a squad of Jaegers. So a little bit of everything in this one, eh?
Yeah, he's taken about every data sheet we have except the Grimnir.
Yeah.
The Grimnir is the only one left out.
Yeah. That's sad. Poor Grimnir. He's never taken for anything, eh? So what do you guys think about like the Thunderkin specifically? And this catches my eye right away in this list here because it's not something we've seen in like many lists. I'd say in the past 3 to 6 months. Is he anticipating playing against a lot of vehicles? And even then, were there better options? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think what this says is he's thinking about guard a lot, and probably a lot of people at the event are thinking about guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say guard. The same thing.
Yeah, so guard's been like a little bit of a menace, sneaking up on people, I think. Just like the amount of board control you get access to and like the ease of mobility for sending troops out. I guess the Thunderkin could be good for that, right? Because like they do Overwatch on 5s. If you start them on the board, they have Blast. They're going to be wounding guardsmen on 3s still, which I don't know. It's a bit. I'm not a big fan of them. I think Jordan, you also have your reservations.
Yeah. I'm not. So the gun, like the Graviton blast cannon, is a great gun, but what you attach it to is the most pre-measurable unit you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So like really good players, which is like exclusively this event, right? Like nobody here is bad. I think you're gonna struggle to get use out of the 6-man.
Yeah.
In the way that you want to do damage with this unit, right? Like it's a pretty big investment in points. It's because looks like he's attaching the Iron Master.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's like what 1 or 235 points. Like you need to be doing damage with that, and
I agree.
I think it's.
Against, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, it's at risk of being pre-measured, but I think it's pretty valuable, I guess, in the guard matchup because guard, it's kind of throwing 2 data sheets at you, right? It's throwing vehicles, and then 10-man infantry squads that they're trying to like just toss onto an objective and go steal a point, right? Or do an action, and that's our only unit that we can really Overwatch with.
Yeah.
And like get those 10 infantry squads while also being able to pick up vehicles in the same activation. So I think it has some utility in that matchup.
Sam, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I agree with that. I think they are, as a 6-man, they're a little too easy to play around for their points cost. And I just don't know if they're going to trade their points, like how often they trade their points worth.
Dan, how do you feel?
I was gonna say the same thing, but another thing is I don't think they're good into guard. Not just because the pre-measure is just because it's like 18-inch, if I remember correctly. Like you can't outgun guard with that kind of range. That's nigh impossible.
I think I agree with all of you guys on this. Like, for me, it's like the pre-measure. First game I ever played with them, I remember setting them up on the table, and I brought them in from reserves, and my opponent was playing CSM, and he's like, what's the range on their guns? I'm like, 18 inches. And he's like, they move 5? Yeah. He's like, okay, I'm staying right outside of like X range when I move up with my 3 predators. And it's like, you never get to shoot, you never get to Overwatch with them into like vehicles anyway. You get one good activation, and even then it's like, it's still swingy, right? Because it's D6 shots. Not a big fan. And then I think like, even like further to that, right? It's just like AP2 with no access to ignore cover is brutal. So bad. Into like Marines especially, right? Like everything has cover in the game. So you're already at like neg 1. And then AOC, you're at neg 0. So like your vehicles are saving on 3 still, 2s even sometimes, like for a Land Raider or something. I don't know if people still run Land Raiders, but just to say, right? I don't know. I personally, I don't think they're super great, but I could see potential in the guard matchup. But then again, like Dan says, it really depends, right? Because like you just get outranged like super easily.
I also didn't think about it until just now. but the -1 damage strat in guard in shooting just like ruins this gun, and he doesn't have Grim Demeanor on the Iron Master.
Right. Yeah, that's a great call out for
So-
sure.
So he can't really kill a Lehman Rust with this unit's activation.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you're committing that many points, like you might as well just go the extra mile and like just solidify that this is going to be a unit that guarantees to get damage through. Like you've already spent so much, just pay the extra 20, lock that damage in.
Yeah.
On the plus side, though, don't want to go too negative with him on here. The Turf Guard Hackathon combo is there, and that alone can do quite the work for in terms of damage. And another very not only his, but you will see a lot throughout these lists. I think only one list doesn't have it. Is that there's a squad of berserkers. Some lists have two. They are very good in this current meta. Even both loadout, either of them are great.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like after trying it out against Sam, I'm sold on the plasma axes, man. Like that is just crazy. Hitting on twos, wounding on twos, assuming you're double judged, is insane. And then like even if you sweep right into something like guards, for example, like guardsmen, right? Like you're still wounding on twos, and it's 6 attacks each, I think, Jordan.
Yeah, it's 6 attacks each, and then the grenade launcher's got 7.
Yeah. It's nuts. But I agree, Dan. I agree. Like he has like that delete potential baked in already with like the Landfort Hearthguard combo. So I'm not sure if it's needed having this. I guess just wrapping this one up, what would you guys change in here? A bit of a heavy question. Maybe starting with Jordan, if you have any ideas. I think for me, my direction would be I would drop the Thunderkin and I would try to fit something else in, maybe an extra squad of Berserks and a Sagittar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
More Berserkers, more Sagittars.
Yeah.
Me too. Sagittars is probably the way to go if you want to beat guard, because it's between anti-tank and long range.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's move on to list B, Colin Burns. So there's couple interesting things here as well. So another Brokir Iron Master. This time we are running an enhancement. We're taking Appraising Glare, which actually that first list wasn't running Appraising Glare either, which is a little bit crazy. That's risky, I think. So we are running Appraising Glare here on the Brokir Iron Master. We got 2 E-Champs, 3 E-Champs total, all with Mass Hammers. Pretty nice. Love the E-Champ. 1 squad of Warriors. We have 4 Sagittars. All of them are running L7 missile launchers, so I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this in a second. We do have 2 squads of Berserks with Mauls. We have 2 squads of Hearthguard, 3 Hecaton Land Fortresses, and this is the heavy Magna Rail Cannon list. Yeah, this is it.
Glorious.
This is the crazy one.
I love this call. This is it's the 50% of the time it does nothing, and then the other 50% of the time you do some real significant damage with this gun, and I love it. It's like, I think it's something that, like, if you want to win worlds, like, you got to go win your games, and this gun right here, it can get you results that, like, you can just swing for the fences, right?
Yeah, I've always been a little bit negative towards the railgun in my evaluation of it, but you recently took it to an RTT, and you had a really great story that kind of makes me want to try it out. So why don't you share it with everyone? Because
gosh,
I couldn't believe it.
When you, like, all right, so turn 1, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna shoot this rail cannon. Roll a 6. I'm like, amazing, that's glorious. Roll another 6, that's devastating wounds. Roll another 6, that's a pick up that Chaos Knight. And you're like, insanity. And then later in the game, it's like, they're gonna take their Chaos Knight, they shoot you, and this is where you spend the 2 CP, shoot you back strat, and you get that hit, you get that wound. It's another 6 for devastating wounds, and then it's another 6, and you pick up another Chaos Knight. And it's like,
It's
oh
crazy.
my god.
Like, it shouldn't happen. It should never happen, but it could. And I think that's what's crazy about it. It's just like the absolute pinnacle of casino guns is on this vehicle. So that's funny. So Dan, I have a question for you. What do you think about the setup that we have here with 5-man Hearthguard squads with plasma guns instead of the Vulcanites coming out of the Land Fortress? Because I haven't seen this before with a 5-man unit, but it is kind of interesting to think about because you do get to reroll those wounds, you do get to hit on 2s. So is there potential with something like that?
I've always actually been more of a fan of the plasma gun.
Okay.
It's just because I ran the combo with Hecaton, so I took Volkites instead.
Mm-hmm.
But on their own, they're very effective against a specific type of unit. It was normally the T7.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not uncommon, especially against Drukari, but I guess Drukari is not so much of a menace anymore.
Like
But
Talos,
also
I guess.
Sentinels,
Mm-hmm. Scout Sentinels, yeah.
they're T7, and Plasma is extremely effective against those targets.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you get 2 brush token on them. Apart from that, it's like the difference between damage with Volkite and Plasma isn't that big, except the Plasma will have a great time into Marines if that ever comes up, or just any BA or DA matchup, if there is one.
Mm-hmm.
But DA have -1 damage, so maybe not the best into that. But other Marines matchup will do fine.
Okay, I think that's fair. For me, like the thing about the plasmas that I never really liked, besides it just being one shot and no access to rerolls, is that it's only damage 2. I feel like that kind of hurts. So many things have access to -1 damage. So many things have feel no pains. I just feel like it loses a lot of its efficiency, a lot of its effectiveness, rather.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if he targeted into a specific unit,
Mm-hmm.
It would do better than a Volkite.
Yeah.
It really depends on his target location. But I will also say this is like my favorite list, and
Okay.
if I was going to as a Votann, I'll play something very similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
First, he has 3 E-champ. That's like the way to go. I think if you have to play 3 E-champ.
Yeah.
The second thing, 4 Sagittars, and I don't agree with the railguns, but the Hecaton body is always good.
Yeah.
So like I would play something very, very similar to this list if I was going as a Votann player.
Okay, interesting. It is very similar to the one you were running. Just the loadouts were a little different.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And like triple E-champ is just a menace.
It is. It's crazy. It's like an extra Berserk squad, really. Like, they're just really cool. Really strong and effective. With the mortal wounds and the charge, you get a lot of damage out. So, Glowy, I have a question for you, Sam, but before we get to that, Glowy M. Zenu says, how often do you actually run into knights, and how often do you need to kill things that have more than one model at 3 or 4 wounds each? This is with regards to the Magna Railgun. So, I guess, like, I do think, like, on paper, the SP Conversion Beamer is the better choice, like, hands down. You see that taken all the time. But maybe the Magna does have a place in this world, right? Like, we are kind of seeing it come up a little bit. People are taking it. And like Dan was saying before, like, there are certain targets that you maybe just want to have that guarantee kill into. Like, you're tailoring your list a little bit for certain matchups that you anticipate maybe struggling into a bit. Like Jordan said with the Knights, right? He was picking up reliably, like, Knights every turn with just his land fortresses, which is pretty nice, right? Like, that's cool. You get that extra range too, which is something Votann really lacks. So I don't like them, but I hit my mic. I don't like them, but I do think I could see an argument for taking them in certain designs. And if you do take them, I think you take 3. Like, you don't take 1. You take all 3 land forts with all 3 of the Magna Rails for that redundancy.
That is true. Also, the beam is strength 10, whereas Demon Russ is tough 11. It does matter a lot there.
And the AP is the biggest part, I think.
The AP. How much AP does it have?
it's AP4 with
Oh, wow.
so with
That's
it
nice.
ignores cover, right? They
Yeah.
and guard doesn't have access to AOC on their
Mhm.
tanks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you'll
matters.
you force it to a 6-up save. So it's like it doesn't have the absolute ceiling of the beamer,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it'll get you a better like floor. But
Okay.
it's one shot, right? So like
Yeah.
I think you do have to take 3. if
Yeah.
if you're gonna take rail cannons, they need to all be on the hecatons, right? Because that's the only way to kind of curve the one shot variance.
Joel asks, can anyone access this? Yes, here, I'll share the. I thought you were talking about the stream for a second and I panicked that it died, and we've been talking alone for 10 minutes. Here, let me share the link with you. You guys can follow along if you'd like. As we go through, let us know what lists you guys are particularly looking out for as well. Yeah, no problem, Joel. Okay, so Sam, I did have a question for you here. Curious to get your thoughts on it. So you've played a lot into my list,
Yeah.
and you've had a lot of experience with Sagittars as well. The other day I played with 3 of them, which was the most I've ran ever. And this guy's taken the L7, so you've never played against the L7. I always take the high las. The L7 is there's no casino. I think it's still like the same number of shots. I don't even remember off the top of my head, but I
Yeah,
know
you get
it's
the L7 and the missile launcher, right?
yeah. It's like you get flat damage 3, but there's no chance for it to be like there's no chance for it to spike. Does anybody
Yeah, you
remember the
can't do
stats off the top of
36
their head?
damage. I have it pulled up here if you want.
Okay,
So
okay.
you have the missile launcher, 2 shots, strength 12, -3, 3 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you focus the L7, it's 1 shot, strength 9, -2, d6 damage. And you have a blast variant of that also.
Yeah. So how do you feel about those? If you had to
I
face
I
one of
I,
those.
I think I like this gun better. I like the L7
Okay.
missile launcher better than the Hylas.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like 1 out of 3 games you do 18 damage and 1 activation of a Sagittar,
Yeah.
and the other 2 games they underperform. I mean, if you think about our most recent game we played a couple days ago, I think your Sagittars actually did 0 damage
Yeah, fair.
that game.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I think you're right. And could this also be potentially for the guard meta? And like Ben asks, here's the real cannon just for guard meta. I don't know if it's just for guard, but I do actually think I think it was Jordan that brought up a good point, right? Like, or it was Dan, like the Lemon Russ or the Rogel Dorn, like it's T11. So you actually do get to break that break point if you double judge it by still wounding on 2s, which is tough for anything else in our list. I don't think we have any other shooting that could top that. So there could be a shift here, kind of playing against guard, which is going to be a menace. So potentially, maybe even these damage 3 are going to play into that as well. So I guess like you get a little bit more range, you get a little bit more consistent damage, but you lose that spike potential. And I guess if you're running 4, it's kind of nice, right? I guess like thinking about this out loud, because you can position yourself to get at least 2 firing into the same target. Which, hey, like that's 6 damage, right? So
Yeah, I think I've split like in my 6 Sagittar lists. I've had like 4 last cannons, 2 missile launchers, because like the way that type of list plays is some of your Sagittars are gonna be moving into the center to seize the mid board, and they're gonna be having berserks in them, so they're gonna be within 24 inches, and so you can take last cannons on those.
But in those situations where like Sagittars are doing something in the center, exposing themselves to get you area denial or something, wouldn't you prefer them have a pretty good chance of killing or almost killing something small than a coin flip at killing a vehicle? With
It's it's a bit I think it's because we're already so good at killing small stuff, right?
Right.
The part of it is like I've always for the past like 5 months I've been playing with like 18 bikes, and so nothing small scares me. And then like I can pick up like whatever I want that's T3 or even like T6 or below, right? If it's infantry, you can just shred it. But I think we're overall, like if you look at everything Votann has, like Hearthguard are so good at shooting infantry. land forts are pretty good at picking up chaff too. It's really like tough stuff, right? That like we kind of struggle, which you wouldn't think we would because we're like, oh, we judge that. But it's like we just don't have the consistency on the.
Yeah.
We have like our big like high strength, high damage guns are like 2 shots at most, right? 2 shots, 1 shot.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting.
yeah, but the
Speaking
missiles aren't bad.
Yeah. Speaking of consistency, I used to run missiles over the beam, just because I wanted things to be more consistent. But I run the beam nowadays because I want that high roll potential. Because it just depends on the mood. I think both are fine. How you
Yeah.
feel about it, because they both do almost the same thing. It's just if you want consistency, then you would play the missiles over the beam.
Yeah, I don't think like we ever really rely on the Sagittart to be the thing that delivers like the kill like alone. I feel like with Votann, it's a lot of like you need to have angles with at least 2 things to bring down a high toughness target reliably, and so I could see why like you would go for the damage 3. You get the extra range even if you're bringing berserks up and you're gonna be within 24 inches, you at least get that backfield range, which could be nice, could be helpful. Yeah, I think both work. I like the high las. I like rolling the dice and seeing what happens. Like sustained D3 is just like crazy sometimes when it pops off, and it makes people afraid, right? If you tell them, hey, this thing does max 6 damage, it's like like I could tank it. It's fine. I'll risk it. But if you tell them, hey, this thing could do like 36 damage if I get lucky, then they're like, oh, maybe I won't expose my vehicle right now. So there's a little bit of a mind game thing there as well.
For sure. The highlights are scarier, yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the next list. So, Demetrius Palmer, who was in chat. Demetrius, I'm not sure if you're still here, but let's talk a little bit about your list. So, he is running a Brokir Iron Master, who's going to be the Warlord with Appraising Glare. We have 2 E-Champs. One of them has Grim Demeanor. The other one is just stock. We have 2 squads of 10 warriors. So first list so far that runs more than 1 battle line. We have 2 squads of 5 Hearthguard with the... it's cut off a bit for me. I think it's just the Vulcanites. You could correct me if I'm wrong. We then have 10 Jaegers, and we have 3 squads of 3 Pioneers. So a very clean list. I think
3 squads of 3 Pioneers, 3 land forts, and 2 Sagittars, right?
Oh wait, I don't have that here.
Yeah, it's kind of compressed at the bottom.
Oh, here, yeah. Okay, I was like, that seems a bit light for a list. Yeah, so we have 3 land forts and then 2 Sagittars. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one's harder to read because.
Yeah, it's not spaced that well. Yeah. Okay, so this is something akin to what I would run. What I'm currently running actually is very similar to this.
Pretty similar,
yeah. Yeah, from my main list. I just run 1 fewer squads of Pioneers. So I guess we'll start with Jordan here. We've noticed in a lot of these lists, only 1 squad of battle line, 1 set of warriors only. Why do you think that is? Is there a need for 2?
They're just... You're making the choice of having more units. Like, if you take warriors, you're going to have more units, but you're going to have less damage dealing units.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one is more of a team focused take, and the other one is.
If you. Oh, sorry.
But I think he's got. I was gonna say I think he does have 20 warriors.
Yeah, he does have 20. He has 20 on this list. Yeah, some of the other 2 had only 1.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's gonna have more bodies to do actions, right?
Yeah,
he's gonna be able to stand on more points.
I like this playstyle a little bit more. It leads into the trading. Like you're kind of just like putting things on an objective until your opponent brings something big out or something valuable, and then your 3 land force can kind of just like pick it up right away. So this is nice. I like this style. Then we have the 3 squads of 3 Pioneers. I think this is like a really like, if I were to pick a Votann list and like design one and say, I want to play 40k, this is the list I would run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the E-Champ. So the E-Champ is a pick here that I think is interesting. So Dan, what do you think about the Iron Master? Sorry, not the E-Champ. You had said you like taking 3 E-Champs. I'm a big fan as well. Do you think there's any value in taking an Iron Master when you're running 3 land forts?
So I've thought about it a lot too. The sustainability on 3 land fort plus a Iron Master is quite massive, but in my experience, I never had 3 land fort actually die in a game. That's why I didn't feel like I needed it. But if my opponent is lacking in the anti tank department, then the Iron Master would just hammer that down. So like the 3 land fort will practically never die. So it's not like a bad thing for 65 points. Like if it basically stat check your opponent. Like, can you do it? If you can't, then don't even think about it.
Yeah. That's kind of nice. I haven't tried it yet, but I kind of like the sound of that on paper. I feel like you got to be a little bit more careful with how you position. There's a little bit more thought that goes into it. Like you got to kind of play a little bit more castle-y. I typically like to spread them out like 2 forts on one side for my expansion, and then like 1 on the other for denial and trading. So I guess it does add like a little bit of an interesting dynamic. We do have some comments here. So Tran, we have a question for you. Did you play at the Champs last year? The World Championship.
Hello. Yes. I was the Santa Claus on stream.
Yeah. Santa Claus. Sam, I don't know if you saw that picture of his Santa Claus dwarves. They're so good.
I don't think I have.
I'm going to send it to you after. And then we have Ungalashu says, Hylas are a curse. I've had it pop off like 2 times and it was a hell of a moment, but far more often I deal 1 damage with them and it's a big oh no moment. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, you are kind of like trusting the dice on this a bit. I usually bank a CP for it, to be honest. Like if I need something to die and I'm willing to sacrifice like one of my 2 Sagittars for it, like I'm just going to like, I'll pay the CP to like re-roll that 2 on the damage roll, and just try to get something bigger through. Can you speak on your reasoning for 20 warriors? This was for Demetrius. Okay, so Demetrius likes having more bodies for secondaries. Yeah, I agree. I like it too, right? Like when I'm playing, even in our last game, Sam, it's like the first thing I do is I talk out loud about my whole game plan. I'm like, yeah, like I have this here. He's going to be positioned here to do this. And I just feel like having that extra redundancy with units that you could just cheaply throw away, it feels a lot better than burning something like a land fortress early in the game or in the middle of the game if you need to try to like stage instead and not be on the side of the board. We played on stream. Oh, so Nick played against you on stream, Dan.
Oh yeah, the Thousand Sun player. I remember.
Yeah.
I watched that game. I remember too. Oh my
wow.
goodness.
That's funny.
Look at it.
Small world.
That
We're
was
all here.
very close game. I lost by a primary objective.
Oh, damn. So you guys have to have a grudge match.
Yeah, that's the case with all my games anyway. Everyone was at a very high level of play. So that was cool. I ended up losing a lot, but I mean, it was cool either way.
Yeah, for sure. Demetrius says you also want a Praising Glare put on. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Like putting a Praising Glare inside of the Land Fortress is a big waste, right? Because you lose out on the ability. It sucks. So you can put him in Deep Strike. I've usually run him solo on the board unless I'm playing against Sam and he has 3 PBCs spitting shots at me. Then I'll put him in Deep Strike with a squad as well. So that's good. Sam, do you have any thoughts on this list? Because this is something that you technically play against every time we play, since I run something very similar to this. So
very similar to this. This is so far my favorite list, and from what I've seen of the other lists looking through, I think this is going to be my favorite list. I just like the way it plays. I think it always it puts it in your hand as the player to win the game when you have this much utility, these many tools. You could play such a varied kind of you could play anything, any mission or cards or secondaries that come up, you could play them.
Yeah.
I think that gives you the best chance of winning based on your own kind of ability.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is like the peak Warhammer list. This is just like, I am here to play. I have all the tools to do that, and whatever you throw my way, I have something to deal with it. I really like it a lot as well. So Demetrius, good luck at the event. You are Sam's favorite so far. All right.
I will point out one crucial factor about
Yeah.
this list, though. Out of all the lists, this is the only list that does not have Berserker.
Oh, interesting
And-
call out. Yeah.
That's why he has 10 Hearthguard, 10 War. The reason why he took 20 is because he didn't have any Berserkers.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer his list on paper, but there is a glaring downside of not having Berserkers because they're a very effective counterpunch unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his I guess his counter trade, because Berserks, 5-man Berserks at 100 points, they're so good at just you can toss them out. They'll charge onto a point that your opponent threw trash on or whatever, and you won't lose that much. You'll just lose 5 Berserks. But if somebody does that in a game against him, what's he gonna send? Right? Is he gonna send a unit of Hearthguard with an E-champ?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that's one of your key units.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is interesting. I wonder if there's value in dropping one of the 3-man bike squads, and then with the 20 points you have, with the 10 points you already have extra, that gets you a Berserk squad.
Mhm.
That could be interesting as well. So,
Or even
it's still a pretty good list, though.
I think it's a very strong list. It's a very strong list.
I like
top contender for me, 100%. It's almost exactly what I run, so I like it. A little biased to it.
except I think you've moved more towards 2 land forts and having those berserkers in there.
Yeah,
I
that was
like
ultimately what I landed on. Yeah, for that exact reason, that Jordan called out, right? Sometimes you just got to get something off an objective, and I don't want to send my Hearthguard for it, so I needed something that just kills. And I really like the Berserks, man. The Berserks are good. But yeah, strong list. Really, really good choice. So this is a top contender for me, for sure. Good luck, Demetrius. Let us know how it goes, or if you wanted Berserks in your list in the end. Okay, list 4. Jose Arias is also running... I was going to say he's also running Leagues of Votann. Everybody here is running Leagues of Votann. So
they found us out.
They found us out, yeah. Oh no, boys. So we got one character only. It's a E-champ running Appraising Glare. So a strong start. Very good choice. We then have 2 squads of Hearthkin Warriors. We have 4 Sagittars. 4 Sagittars, I think, has been something we've been seeing a lot, actually, since since WTC. Was it? Yeah, I think it was WTC, Jordan. We were looking at the list and we're like, oh yeah, everybody's running 4 Sagittars. That was, I think, from there, we've just been seeing it in every list now. 4 Sagittars seems to be a nice number to have. Now, this is the Berserk list. All right, we got 3 squads of 5 Berserks, 2 Mauls, 1 Plasma Axe. 5 months ago... There it is. 5 months ago, if you told me take plasma axes, I would have laughed at you. Now I am a believer. I am sold. So I like this. You could already tell that there's some thought going in. We've put in a Berserk squad with plasma axes just for those key targets where we just need to reliably kill it, like a marine body. So much better than the Mauls in those instances. Then I have a squad of Hearthguard, 5-man, with the Vulcanites and the Fists. We have 2 Hecaton land fortresses, 3 squads of 3 Pioneers, and 1 squad of Jaegers. Who wants to start with their thoughts on this one?
I start with a short thought. Is that this is actually my favorite list now.
yeah, I think me as well. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this one. The only thing for me, I think that would be one of the weaknesses is you don't have a rapid ingress threat. You could put the Hearthguard in Deep Strike. They have the teleport crest, so they considered that as an option. But then you lose a lot of power by not putting it in a land fortress. So not really sure. Probably not super needed, but it is nice to have something that tells your opponent, in the middle of the board, you need to screen still. The bikes can go up and down for sure, but just reinforcing an objective. Sometimes it's nice to have that threat against your opponent, but might not be needed. Dan, what do you think about this?
I like berserks, but I don't like them that much.
Okay, so a little too many berserks for you here.
Yeah, but he already has 2 troops, so honestly, it's not that bad. Personally, I would have ran 3 troops. I just like more bodies and more sticky stuff to do, sticky things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nick says he dropped 3 to 2 units of 5 berserks because of GW terrain. Yeah, that's a good call out. Like GW terrain definitely impacts, I think, like the list you want to run. Like 3 land forts, much better on the GW terrain than WTC, but yeah, the berserks especially, right? Like you can't go around running 3 squads of 10 berserks on GW terrain. You're gonna get blown off the table.
I was gonna mention it in when we get to Max Cantor or Tim Schneider. The difference.
I was waiting for that too.
Yeah, the differences. I mean, so the differences between the GW and the WTC UKTC terrain is substantial, and I think it completely changes the value of a berserk.
Yeah,
I think they get incredible. Like they are the best model you could take, I think, in Votann in those terrain formats, but not necessarily on GW. But I think we'll talk more about that because those two are really going farther into berserks.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like how this is laid out for us unintentionally, starting with like one archetype and like we're slowly building into the big one now with all the berserks as we make our way through. But that is a great call out, and we're going to see that definitely as we approach the end of these lists. Actually, it's the next one. It's the next one coming
I was gonna petition because Max and Tim have the same exact list. Maybe we should move Max to the end.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we'll do that.
Let's take anything away from Max.
Yeah. We'll skip Max for now and save him for the end.
Yeah, it's like we're either skipping Tim or we're skipping Max, and I'd rather just talk about them both in the same.
For sure. We'll do that. We have a few chats here. Saturn and Samar, do any of them have crossbows? No crossbows, unfortunately. No rules for the crossbows. Stuart says 1 character. Yeah, we just have 1 E-champ here, so we're just pairing him up with the... that is an interesting point, because if that E-champ is the only character running Appraising Glare, you're probably hoping to run that in Deep Strike every game.
I was going to point out... I don't know where this E-champ goes in this list, because you're not going to use Glare if you go into Hecaton. So, I mean, I guess the Berserks are... or not the Berserks, the Hearthguard are Deep Striking if he wants to use Glare. But did he take the Teleport Crest?
He did take the Teleport Crest on the squad, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's the plan. He's just using the land forts as tanks.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so Sam, you brought up an interesting point when we were talking about... value out of the land fortresses, and you had mentioned, which I agree with completely, like you're paying a price, you're paying a premium for the transport capacity, and if you don't use that transport capacity, you're like effectively wasting points, right? Like you're not getting your full return on the unit you're bringing in the list. Now for Votann, it's a little iffy because like, you don't have many options to choose from, but I'd like to hear more about your point on this.
No, it's just it's the same thing with like having 1985 points instead of 2000. You're just missing out on 15 points. Whatever the allotted points for the hackathons having a transport capability, if you're not transporting in them, you're losing 5, 10, 15 points, whatever it is. It's not a big deal, but if it's 3 hackathons all empty, then it's all of a sudden, wait, maybe that's 50 points that I'm paying nothing for.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. What do you guys think, Jordan and Dan? Do you agree with that as Votann players?
Yeah. No, I think because it doesn't have the firepower of a tank. It's kind of this weird 50-50. Like super. It's really you pay a lot for durability, right? And part of that durability is being able to transport whatever you're transporting. You're getting it to where you need to go, and so its guns are just kind of we rely on them a lot because we have to.
Yeah.
But I think its guns are mostly a bonus.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I agree. Not a big fan of running them empty. One empty, maybe, just to start the game off, and then after you sticky your backfield, you run your warriors into it and bring the land fort somewhere else potentially. But yeah, too empty. I do feel I agree with Sam. You're leaving some points on the table with that. But again, we don't have many other options, right? For firepower, which kind of sucks.
Like, I understand.
Yeah, exactly. We all get why it's being done. So Ungalosh says Berserks need a leader to let them advance in charge. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I would kill.
I would pay.
I would kill for. There's like 3 rules I would kill for. I would kill for advance in charge, fights first, and a reactive move back into a transport. Those 3 rules I would kill for, bro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We'll get advance in charge design wise though. It just doesn't fit.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, can you imagine that advance in charge leader on the Berserks? He has like 12 attacks, like just default 12 attacks, hits on 2s, advance in charge. Crazy. Dan Cox says, how often does a Hecaton get reserved in lists that run 3? I think it also kind of depends on the terrain you're playing on, Dan. So like WTC, I'm more inclined to reserve 1. GW, I might start all 3 on the table depending on the matchup. Jaegers can reactive into a land fort. Jaegers can reactive into a land fort, but I don't think they'll ever get the chance.
It's not a unit that like your opponent doesn't care about their output, right? So how much does your opponent naturally respect a unit of Jaegers? Not very much. Yeah. But if like Berserks, like if 10 Berserks could reactive move back into a transport, what are we? That's out of control.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy. So,
to further the triple land fort question, you actually want to deploy them on the table, and you want your opponent to see it. It really depends on the player, but for me, I want my opponent to fire at my land fort if they're going first. It's just between 2+ save, cover, and AOC. I'm not too afraid, and if they're exposing enough to kill a Hecaton, I'm quite confident in my counterpunch.
That's a good point. You brought this up in your interview. You said that I think we spoke a little bit. I think it was probably the same question, and you said that you're hoping that like don't be afraid to let them die. Like you're hoping they get shot because it just draws so much firepower away from everything else. And there aren't that many things that could one-shot a land fortress alone. They have to commit several items to take it down. So,
it has to be something like a hammer.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll skip Max for now. Someone who's made an appearance, whose list has made an appearance in the channel previously, and we'll bring him in at the end as 2 lists are identical, so we could talk about them both at the same time. I didn't even notice that they were identical. That's funny. So moving along, we have Nick Blackburn over here. So Nick is running one Iron champion who he named Davy Patton. I don't get the reference, but he's named. We then have a Cal with Appraising Glare. We have a squad of Hearthkin Warriors. We have a single Sagittar with the High Laws. 2x3 Brokier Thunderkin. 2x5 Berserks with Mauls, a big 10-man Hearthguard brick with the Vulcanites. So we're taking the Devastating Wound Gun on the 10-man brick, who's probably going to be with the Call. And then we have 3 land forts and 2 squads of 3 Pioneers and the Hernkin Jaegers. So an interesting shake-up here. We're kind of seeing the same core of the 3 land forts with like a Hearthguard brick, but this time the brick is going in Deep Strike exclusively. And we have 2x3 Thunderkin, which I guess are going to be riding inside the land fortress. Interesting. Who wants to start on this one? I have a few thoughts, but I'll let you guys go first.
Well, yeah, I think his Berserker is up
to go.
Oh, sorry. I think his Berserker...
Sam, you go first. Sam, go first. Dan could follow up.
Okay. Well, I think you have to put your berserkers in the land forts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would probably ride 2 squads ride in one, maybe, and then you have the 2 Thunderkin that are going inside of the other 2 forts, or maybe you put some in reserve potentially, like 1 squad. Yeah, Dan, what did you think about this one?
I'm a huge fan of 10-man Hearthguard, even though they're not that good.
Mm.
I always last year I was always playing 30 Terminators, and it's been that way until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Big respect for him bringing that 10-man block. It will delete a lot of things.
Yeah, big respect for sure. This is gonna sound crazy, but since I started playing Votann almost a year ago, I have still never played a 10-man brick of Hearthguard, and I run Hearthguard in every list, and I have still never played a 10-man brick. I don't see it, man. I just don't think I don't think they're the hammer unit that they look to be on paper, and I also don't think they're resilient enough as a 10. Like it's the 2 wounds, man. It's the 2 wounds and the no invuln. It just kills me.
No damage reduction either.
Yeah, like no, that you just take everything. It's like so many things have access to damage 2, or just like mass volume of fire, or like push your invuln. Well, you don't have an invuln, but like push you to like an unreasonable save. Even at like a 4-up, right? Like half the people drop every time you fail. So I think that's interesting. Nick says Thunderkin will ride in land forts. Sometimes one will be in strat reserves. Okay, makes sense. That's what I thought as well. Thunderkin and land forts for extra range rerolls against targets that aren't vehicles. Yeah, I think for sure. So I get it. I think like that works on paper. Again, it works. I just feel like it's incongruous. Like the rules of our index are incongruous to actually like make a lot of sense. Like compared to other armies, like it should be a full 6-man that rides inside of a land fort. Like you should be able to do that. It's like so many wasted spots, so many wasted seats in the inside of a land fortress with just 3 guys. It's crazy. You just put 3, can't put anything else. It's nuts. Yeah.
I gotta say, we gotta know the story behind Davy Platoon.
Yeah, we gotta know the story.
Who is Davy?
Who is Davy Platoon?
Who is Mr. Davy?
How did he earn that name? So yeah, I guess like some thoughts on this one before we go on to the next list. I'm not a big fan. I think the Thunderkin are going to kind of underperform, to be honest. Like even in a land fort, they're more prone to getting overwatched where the action is, and they die fast. They die so fast, even at just like 3 wounds. They're T6, but like 3 wounds, 3-up base save, they die. Not a crazy big fan, but I'd be curious to see how this one performs. So I don't think this one is my favorite, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it just because I'm curious to see if there's something there with the Thunderkin coming out of a land fortress, because that would be cool. A new little synergy that not many people have been running.
So Dave Paton is Nick's Scottish friend.
Dave Paton is my Scottish friend also. Okay, so he's been captured into this list. I like that. So Dave is going to win. Hopefully Dave wins with Grey Knights, and hopefully Dave wins in Votann for a dual victory. 10-man ingresses while opponent is busy dealing with 3 land. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I definitely see the synergy with that, right? Like, this is threat overload. You have 3 land fortresses. You say, choose what you want to kill, or I table whatever I shoot at, right? Like, do you want to kill one of the land fortresses, or do you want to kill a 10-man brick of Terminators? What do you guys think about the Vulcanites on the 10-man versus the Plasma?
I mean, it's not bad. You're gonna get a lot of mortals, right? You'll get like, I mean, without rerolls.
Yeah.
I wonder how close it is to the average of like a 5-man jumping out of a Hecaton.
It's actually less. You get less mortal wound from the 10-man. The 10-man. The 10-man is actually less than the 5-man out of a Hecaton.
Wow.
But if you add on sustain 2 on there, it gets a bit. The 10-man performs a bit better, but also the highs gets much higher.
Yeah.
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 Whew.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Welcome to Votann.
exosuits. Yeah, welcome to Votann, where our rules are kind of just incongruous and they slap some stuff together, but we're still making it work.
Roll
Um,
some sixes.
yeah, roll some sixes, bro. That's it. Yeah, exosuits taking up 3 slots is hard. Yeah, like I'm not a fan of that. Like, I just think like there were some things I didn't play what they had when they had their codex in 9th edition, so I don't know what the old rules were. But everything I hear, every time Jordan messages me,
Oh gosh.
crying that he remembers something incredible that we used to have and that is gone now, it does break my heart because it sounds like we're paying for the sins of our past a little bit too hard here. But hopefully our codex changes things up a little bit and at least makes us have some interesting combos. You know what I want? I think I want the Grimnir. Like, this is a totally realistic change, but I want the Grimnir to give a feel no pain and be able to attach the Hearthguard. I think that's fair.
Or
Same.
you don't even. I was gonna say I don't think you even have to give it a feel no pain, even though I'd want it so bad. Because if you could attach a Grimnir to Hearthguard, right? Now you have those 2 Corvs with 4-up invulns
Yeah.
that can, you can just take them first when you're dealing damage to the unit, and you can also, like if somebody throws grenades at you, well, there's your first 2 grenades right there, and you don't lose a Hearthguard model, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's the one takeaway because none of these lists have Grimnirs. The Grimnir is the only data sheet I think it needs to be
He needs some love.
100%. Yeah, right. Like,
He needs some love.
yeah.
What is his rule? I don't even remember. What does he do? Like when he's
You can't.
attached?
I pass a free battle shock, baby. and
Oh,
and you add
God.
1 toughness to the unit he leads.
Oh yes,
Or-
yes. You add 1 toughness. That would be
Yeah.
cool. You add 1 toughness. You're -1 to be wounded. You're T7 now. Actually, that's kind of worse. Yeah, he needs a feel no pain. He needs a feel no pain. GW, if you're listening, Grimnir
Or an
needs some
invuln.
love. Or invuln. Like, yeah, he gives an invuln. That'd be crazy. Oh, that'd be crazy if he gives a 4-up invuln to the squad. That'd be crazy.
Votann is so selfish with their invulns. Every
Yeah.
model with a crest has a 4-up invuln, and then like nobody else can have invulns. We're the greediest faction with our invulns.
Yeah.
True as rot.
Yeah. So funny. Ungalash says, not a fan of the Vulcanites as I like plasmas on the 10-man in Deep Strike with a Cal. I think if I ran a 10-man, I too would run it with the plasmas because then, like, with lethal hits on them, they're -3 AP. You go into I saw on stream once someone was running 2 squads of, this is like a long time, one of the first lists I ever reviewed on the channel. It was 3 land forts with Magna Rails, and it had 3 squads of Thunderkin and 2 big squads of 10 Hearthguard with plasmas. And the plasma squads basically wiped out a Death Company squad, a full 10-man Death Company squad with characters attached. And I was like, you know what? There's something here for sure. But I don't know. I don't know if that aged well in the meta in the game. My last game against Bringers, Hull Spam ended 17-3 for me. We'll see. I could easily go 1-7. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If the Thunderkin are like gonna end up being a good tool in this tournament for the players who bring them, like I think this is the right way to bring Thunderkin, right? 2 squads of 3.
Yeah.
Don't get the squad of 6. Don't pay for the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's not as much investment.
yeah, like they're not cheap, but they're not crazy expensive. I think it's like because the Berserks are so well costed for 100 points that it kind of skews our perspective of the Thunderkin. But like on paper, it's not bad. It's just like they don't work well because of how slow they are. They have no real like synergy with the army or the rules. Grimnir with 5 kin is good to protect the backfield from Aquilons. Yeah, honestly, maybe, yeah. Like, that's true. We haven't really had to face the Aquilon. Well, I haven't had to face them yet, but there could be an argument for that. But always cut first. Yeah, he's always the first one out for sure. It's just 65 points that could go somewhere else. 65, 70? I don't remember how many points he is.
65.
65, eh? Okay. Anyone else have thoughts on this one before we move on to the next list?
I just wish he had more Sagittars.
Nick, Nick is in the chat right now. So Nick, how come you are running one Sagittar? What's the game plan with that? Because I am curious. You'll have one squad of the Warriors. That's fair. I thought it was two squads of the Warriors, but yeah. Let us know,
Like,
Nick. I'm curious to hear. And I'm curious to hear how the Thunder can go. I hope you're in the Discord server because you got to let us know after the event how the Thunder can performed. This is the one that I'm eyeing to see how it plays out because I'm super curious about how they do.
On an unrelated note,
Yeah.
not so unrelated, I played, I think, 15 or 18 Thunderkin last year. They did.
18
So-
Thunderkin. Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
The Madkin.
That's mad, yeah. He's fallen to chaos. So Nick says, I suck at MSU, just want to go toughness skew. I respect that. I think that's totally fine. A little stat check here. That's perfect, man. I think you're right. You lean into that. You're running the 3 land forts. You're running the big brick. It's like come pick one thing to kill. You might kill it. You might not. And then everything else will just delete. I am in the Discord. Posted army. All is dust. Nick is me. Oh, perfect. Cool. Nice. So we have 2 Zinch players here. We have the Exalted Jordan and we have Nick Blackburn. All is dust.
Thousands of us.
Thousand Suns Unite. Okay, so next list G, we have Pablo Assandri. His list is called Full Throttle. Hopefully there's like 6 Sagittars here. So we have 2 E-Champs, a long list. We have a Cal with Appraising Glare, 1 squad of Warriors, 2 Sagittars. Oh, we have 2x3 Thunderkin again. We have 1 Berserk squad. We have three Hearthguard squads. So this is a little bit interesting. We're running 2 squads on the table with Vulcanites, 1 squad with a teleport crest, of 5 with a plasma gun. We then have 2 land forts and 3 pioneers. So no Jaegers, and we got a 5-man in deep strike with plasmas. This is an interesting one. This is a unique build.
I want to talk about cutting the Jaegers.
Mhm.
I think it was fine for him to cut Jaegers in this list because he only has, like, the scouts that he has are the cheap action monkey pioneers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need them to scout like that. And same thing with the Sagittars, right? He doesn't have enough Sagittars to really
Mm-hmm.
spam. Like, if it was like, I'm gonna full send with my scout, he doesn't have enough. So he's like, I don't need scout. He's a Votann player who looked at scout and said, I don't need it.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, that's fair. You're right. I don't think he's super reliant on it. There aren't enough pieces here that want to push up like with a scout move turn 1. So yeah, no need if you could save the points.
And I was also gonna say, now that a 3-man pioneer is the same cost as 10 Jaegers,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's harder to vindicate Jaegers over a unit of 3 bikes.
Interesting.
Because the bikes are they're better, right? They have uppy downy, they're higher toughness, they have a better save, they're much faster, they have better guns. I think the only reason to take Jaegers is when you're looking for, like, you really want to take advantage of Scout, right?
Yeah.
So if you built your list with, like, I don't want to take advantage of Scout, then I don't think you need Jaegers.
That's interesting. Okay, that's a cool take. I personally like them. I like the idea of like getting that early secure in no man's land, and they are useful. Like Sam, when we played, they did that little dance around the wall to kind of like pull some of your units out. It's like you do have to deal with this, or else I just for free take an objective, and then if you roll well, I rolled a 6 on my reactive move, which was obviously pretty crazy, but you could bounce over a wall depending how you do it, or you could move away from the wall so that the unit has to either fall through and then they're in your line of fire, or they have to go around so they can't do their charge. So they have that utility, but you're totally right. Like if you don't need that in your list, there's no reason to take it, right? And you probably, with all of this firepower, you probably like don't mind if your opponent pushes up early. Like you have the Thunderkin that could pick up like any skirmishers that they see pretty easily, I'd imagine, with the 3d6 blast.
Yeah.
I too don't take Jaegers, but that's because I don't have $200 to burn.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wait. Now's your time. I know there's Jaegers in Atlanta. I know. I've seen the shops.
You're right. Yeah. Dan, you can pick them up. You can pick them up tomorrow. I don't know what time it is in Atlanta. I think it's Eastern still. You can pick them up tomorrow.
I'll try to.
Okay, so I think like generally this is kind of like the same design we saw with Nick's list, except we do have that extra. We are 1 fort fewer in this one. And we have the Hearthguard with Plasma 5 times in Deep Strike, so 1 set of 5 in Deep Strike, which I think we spoke a little bit about in one of the other lists. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Again, we have the 2x3 Brokir Thunderkin. Curious to see how these perform as well. So I guess we're lucky that we have Nick, who's actually the active member of the channel, so we could ask him how they do and extrapolate from some of the matchups we see here. The only other thing I'll call out here is that we do have the Cal. I don't know if I would run a Cal with 5 Hearthguard. I think it's a lot of points. I don't think you get your value out of it. But I would go with the 3 E-Champs, like Dan said.
I think the call should be cheaper than the E-Champ.
Yeah, man.
I don't know why.
He's worse. He's
been
way worse.
It's been a year and a half of the call being... Like, the call and the E-Champ are the... Like, they have never moved in points cost, right? Like, they've always been just, like, the 2 pillars of we're never touching these points. But I think the call should be cheaper than the E-Champ. Because, the E-Champ is just better, right?
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah, would you say
it's never made sense to me.
It never made sense
I think they should have their points swapped.
Yeah? I hope not, because I like the E-Champ at 60. I quite like it.
Nice.
Yeah, wait. No.
Let's retract that statement.
Is that what you meant?
We'll pull the stream down. You didn't hear anything here.
Is that what you meant by the call being cheaper?
Yeah. So we have a question in chat from Whelm Weaver Gaming. He says, what do you think about Thunderkin with the SP conversion beamers going to 2 attacks up from 1? I think that makes them a little bit better, but I think that makes them a lot better, actually.
Yeah.
That makes them a lot better going two attacks from 1. I don't remember the stats on it. Is it just the same like the one on the Land Fortress, or is it weaker?
No, it's only 1 AP.
It's 1 AP?
Flat 3 damage, and it's strength 7. And it's 1 attack. So like
No.
I have this thesis paper of buffs I would give to a Thunderkin, and it's long. I don't want to rant. But there's many things. There's like 6 different things we could do to Thunderkin to make them amazing, but
yeah,
none of them are there. Currently, none of them exist.
Nah, man.
So...
You know what they need? You know what the SP conversion beamer needs, Realm? I think it just needs to be the same stat line like on the Land Fortress.
Yeah.
Like, same stat line. And even then, I still probably wouldn't run the Thunderkin, but it would be more interesting.
Think about it. It's technically like the beamer on the Hecaton is AP2 ignores cover.
Yeah.
This one on foot is AP1 does not ignore cover, so it's basically AP0.
Yeah.
And like
it's weaker strength
99
as well, like crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it needs like didn't you tell me there was like a beam profile that like it goes through units? Maybe they just give it blast. Like everything on the Thunderkin has blast for that SP, so it's like like it's kind of like a beamer.
No.
Jaegers open up rapid ingress. Yeah, they do open up rapid ingress. I think with Jaegers though, Stuart, is that like they don't live past turn 2. Like for how you not how you should be using it, but I think like 90% of the games they accomplish their goal, which is to stop your enemy from infiltrating and like securing something, like some objective or move blocking. Like they die turn 1, turn 2, they'll be dead. So they do help with that. Like you do get some breathing room on the table, maybe to wrap it if they survive, and you play a little bit cagier. I could see an argument for dropping one set of bikes, putting in Jaegers instead. Same points cost. Realm says that the Cal is weaker. Yep, the Cal's definitely weaker. Stuart says the tokens. Oh, because Umglosh says because he can hand out judgment tokens every turn he's on the board. Yeah, but the problem with that is that it only happens in your command phase. So you gotta like expose yourself, survive the enemy's turn, hope that he didn't move something out of the way, and then put a token out. I don't think it's good.
It's a disaster, unfortunately. Because even if he got cheaper than the E-Champ, I'm looking at, let's say he was 50 points, right? I'd look at him and I'd be like, all right, you're like my cheapest glare caddy.
Yeah, basically.
So I used you in that role, but like his damage is still the same, right? And his damage is awful.
Yeah, he doesn't do enough. If I wasn't worried about aggressive scouting armies, especially melee, I'd drop my Jaegers. Yeah, I think like I like running them, but I could see the argument not taking them. Like Votann was always around 50% before they came out. We're still around 50% now. So I guess it doesn't change things too much. Sucker for heavy gunners. I think if Thunderkin had 2 attacks and SP conversion beamers, they would be at least a decent choice. I would run them for fun if they had 2 attacks. It makes it somewhat enjoyable to play. Roll more than 3 dice. It's always great. Dan, what do you think Thunderkin need to be viable or to be better? We do see a lot of Thunderkin at this event, so maybe what do you think they need for you to take them on your list?
Advance and shoot.
Advance and shoot. Okay. Assault on their guns. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for now
that's a likely buff. There's a ton of detachments in the codexes that have released that have been like everything gains assault and also extra AP, and then that suddenly we're talking wildly different.
I'll make it better.
Yeah, suddenly we're talking a wildly different conversion beamer.
Yeah.
Until that day.
Until that day. So we got 3 lists left to review. Let's take a quick look. So, we're at 21 concurrent viewers still. Pretty awesome. Thank you, chat, for tuning in. If you guys are enjoying it, please don't forget to like the video, send some hearts. It helps boost the numbers up and gets more people to tune in, which is always great. I saw some hearts. Thank you. Okay, so next up we have Simon Rivery-Coat. Oh, this is the French list, yes. This was, okay, so before I start, Sam, this is the one I was telling you about where I was looking at my 3-fort list and I was like, I think I want to change this up a bit. I'm kind of tired of the 3-forts. And I built something, and then I looked at this when Dan sent it to me, and I was like, that's funny. Like, this guy from France is running basically like the same list, except he changed one thing. And Jordan, to surprise you, I ran Uthar the Destined in my last game. I had him on the table. Yeah, glorious. Did
he do all the sabotages?
He defended my home objective alone for 2 turns. Yeah.
The call stands alone. Not alone.
The only thing that could brace the PBCs if they were to shoot at him. So, kicking it off, we have 2 E-Champs, Grim Demeanor on one, Wayfarer's Grace on the other. We have Uthar the Destined, so an expensive choice at 80 points here, but we do have Uthar. We have 1 squad of Hearthkin Warriors. We have 3 Sagittars, 2 squads of Berserks with the heavy plasma axes each. Hell yeah, represent. We then have 2 squads of Hearthguard, 2 5-man squads of Hearthguard with Vulcanites, teleport crests on both of these. 2 land fortresses, so we have the option of putting them in deep strike or inside of the fort. And then we have some bikes. We have a 3-man squad, a 6-man squad, and then some Jaegers to wrap the list up. So I like this list a lot. I think this might be my favorite one. Like, outside of that one with the 3 land force I was at earlier, where I was like, this is like the picture perfect Warhammer 40k list. I'm rooting for this one a lot. This is the direction I see my list going towards. It feels a lot better having those trading pieces with the Berserks and with the heavy plasma axes, which I really misjudged until actually fielding them on the table. What do you guys think about this? Maybe starting with Dan.
So I'm a bit of an OCD person.
Mm-hmm.
This list is all over the place.
Yeah.
If you notice when I build lists, it's like 3 Hecaton, 3 Hearthguards, or before I would play 30 Hearthguards. I would try to go all in on one.
Yeah.
Of the list building. This list has a lot of things going on for it, and I absolutely hate it as a player. Not to say I hate it as power. It's probably pretty good. It's just for me, I don't like it looking at it at all. Especially he has 3-6-3 for his bikes. It's just like group them better, please.
Yeah. Okay, so for you, it's a little disorganized. There's no real uniformity to it. There's no like redundancy in terms of like the specific units you're taking. A lot of unique things going on in the list. But not that it would be bad, but that it's not your play style, which is very important, right? Like you can take the best list in the world, if it's not your play style, you're not gonna do well with it, right? You're not gonna enjoy playing it. Jordan, what do you think about it?
I think this list is really good.
Yeah, I think it's really good, man.
And I also want to shout out the French meta. They are currently the WTC champions, and to get a ticket, and in France, he's an incredible player. Already, this is going to be a good list piloted by a really good player, and I think I love this list too.
Yeah.
It's gonna. You can see it's. I think it's very inspired by like a kind of like a. I want to say like a Liam VSL style, like because Liam does this a lot. He takes like 2 of units. He doesn't always take 3. Like a lot of times, we unga bunga, we're like, we must take 3 for redundancy.
Yeah.
And like that has value, but like players like this, they'll be like, I'm gonna use my skill and work with 2 and add some other tools.
Yeah, it's very tool heavy. There's a lot of thought, I think, that went into some of the choices here. Like I particularly really like the 3-6 for the bikes. This is what, like, if I had another squad of bikes, this is how I would run it. I'd run a single 1-3 for utility and a 6 to just like, if you expose a flank, you get an angle in, you just bring that down to shoot with. More firepower than the 5-man, I was going to say hammerheads, than the 5-man Hearthguards. A little bit more reliable with the AP. So I think that's really strong. What do you think, Sam? Mobile. Yeah, so much more mobile. So much more mobile. You have a bit of everything in this list, but everything that you've included here does its role so well, which I think is really cool. So Sam, you played against something that's 90% of this. What did you think?
Yeah, I do think like literally playing against this exact list a few times, except for the Pioneers. I think the second squad being 6 Pioneers is a huge upgrade, a bigger upgrade than it might seem. It's not just 3 more bikes, it's that when you have 2 squads of 3, it's almost as too many activations. Like neither of them could really, a squad of 3 can't really do significant damage. They're just there to score stuff. And you don't need 2 times that, at least in my experience playing against your similar lists. So having the flexibility for one of those squads to actually do damage, I think is a huge upgrade. But yeah, it seems like a really hard list to play against from a perspective of what's my game plan. What's a game plan that this doesn't have tools against?
Yeah, I agree, man. It's funny, Jordan, that you said it's like Liam's list, because I look at this and like Sam said, it has tools for everything, and this to me This kind of feels like a CSM list.
Yeah, it screams of, very much CSM influence, right?
Yeah.
At least recent CSM lists.
Yeah. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is Wayfarer's Grace. I would take this out. I would put Appraising Glare. Personally.
Yeah, that's the one.
100%.
I guess he's like, well, I'm throwing them in hecatons, so I'm not going to use it anyways.
True. But he does take the teleport crest, so he's open to the idea of running one in Deep Strike.
Yeah.
Maybe
Just all the time.
maybe the angle, yeah, all the time. Maybe one of the alternatives would be dropping Uthar for a third E-champ, and then you get Appraising Glare on that E-champ, and it's the same points cost.
Yeah.
So Jordan, you've run Uthar a bunch, and you told me, I think when we had our interview, that he's like one of the main swaps you would make and just take another E-champ. What do you think is the thought process?
It was the generic call, because
It was the generic call. Yeah, sorry.
The Uthar is pocket sand mortals, and I do sabotage and recovery assets.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty good at that, and that's something. Like with Votann, what units besides Uthar are like really good sabotage or recover assets? Like
the E-champ, that's it.
Yeah, right.
He dies.
He dies, right? It's like Headman Berserks. I think those are pretty good at doing those, because fight on death in such a big unit with 5 up Feel No Pains. That's like you're gonna do your action. And then it's Uthar, and that's about it. That's like the 2 really good units we have for those.
Yeah.
So,
I'm inclined to agree. I only tried him once. It was that game against Sam, and I actually really like the presence he brings to the table. I misjudged him as well, it seems. I still really do think you could get away with running an E-champ to play the same role. But I played against Tau once, and I was doing I think it was sabotage inside of a ruin, and a piranha just like whoop across the table and like nuked him in one round, and like he wouldn't be able to do that to Uthar. Damage gets reduced. So I definitely see the value in having like this consistent piece that's able to reliably score you stuff. Anyway, I really like this list a lot. So this is the one that I think is gonna push the furthest.
Just to point out, Uthar doesn't reduce Melta damage.
Yes, the added damage to it. Yeah, the added damage to it. Yeah.
You can stay away.
That guy's cracked. That guy's crazy. Okay.
So, I mean, like the Melta damage will add.
Yeah.
And okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like whatever modifier is at the end of the damage characteristic will still be added on, which I don't really like it, but whatever. I guess they have to have that. I guess if he gets into Melta range, he wouldn't survive anyway, but I think if he's outside, he will, because I think the Piranha's Melta 2, I think?
Yeah, just Melta 2.
Okay, cool. Good call out. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the unit analysis video, and someone wrote that in the comments. So that was a fair shout out. Sam, did you say something, or did I?
No, all good.
Okay. Growing delusional, speaking for so long. Let's see how chat's doing. We have a few comments here. Okay. Stuart says, Wayfarer's Grace, rare, interesting. Is he attached? No. So, Stuart, I think he is going to be run. Oh, yes. Sorry, I thought it was Uthar still. Yeah, the Wayfarer's Grace, I think, is going to be attached. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't take him with one of the Hearthguard squads. I guess it just gives you a little bit of that extra reliability. You come back to life. You're still a beat stick character. Just the mortal wounds, the damage on the mass hammer. Has anyone mentioned the Discord link goes to the wrong place? Really? That's interesting. I'll have to fix that. I didn't know it did. I still see people joining on the Discord. Maybe this link is broken. I'll have to fix that as well. You guys talk about something in the next list, so I'll fix that in a little bit. And
The
then
broke
2
here
units.
has to work.
Yeah, the broker. We gotta call in the what are they called? The little robots that he has again. The
The
Iron King,
ecog.
the ecogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 units of plasma axe Zerks. Yeah, Stuart. So I think he's probably anticipating a lot of Marines and a lot of guard. I think is why you would run the plasma axes. I think they're really strong, man. I'm sold on them.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're better.
Yeah, they're better for sure. The hitting on twos, the wounding on twos, like the hitting on twos is the craziest part. Like
Yeah.
it's nuts.
It helps curve our one weakness, right? Which is no hit rerolls. And
Yeah.
so hitting on twos is so valuable in this faction.
Yeah.
I rolled ones so many times that I know hitting on twos doesn't matter. But
Yeah. Well, when you roll
like,
ones.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
no, I'm joking. But yeah, hitting on twos is pretty valuable.
Let's get some ones in chat. I think there's the emote for it. There it is. As far as Uthar, do you think he would have more value for his points if he could place 2 judgment tokens? So I only tried him once. I didn't even get to put tokens, and I don't think I haven't factored that into the decision as to why I would take him. I think like Jordan said, he's just there for that utility. He guarantees that you could do your secondaries, and he just does some nice flat mortal wound, some dev wound damage if you need it. He's ready.
If there's something there's something that's too tough, right? Like you're like, all of my damage just randomly didn't go through because I'm Votann.
Mm-hmm.
You tank shock, you grenades, you Uthar. And that's a bunch of mortals, right? That you can just summon. It's like a doom bolt from the ancestors, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Good.
it's just another for 80 points. I think he's all right, right?
Yeah.
For what he
think
does.
he's okay. He could go down a little bit more. I won't complain.
He could. Yeah, I won't. Yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 lists left because one of them is a duplicate, so we'll talk about those at the end. Next up is Sweet Lou. So Sweet Lou, we've had some of his lists before on the channel. Happy to see him make it here. His list is titled Narrative Votann List. I hope he didn't accidentally put the wrong one. So Lou's running an Iron Master, just stock. He's running an a Grimnir. There's a Grimnir here.
Like a Grimnir, and my eyes didn't see the Grimnir.
Yeah, they just couldn't scan. They couldn't. The Corvs, that's what they're called. They're called Corvs, the units. So he's got
blinded.
yeah, blinded by the Corvs. Grimnir, he's got a cow. So we've got one of every character except for Uthar, who's left out, unfortunately. For enhancements, we're running Grim Demeanor on the cow. We then have a Hearthkin Warrior squad, just one. We have 3 Sagittars with Hylas. We have a squad of 6 Thunderkin, a squad of 3 Thunderkin, a squad of 5 Berserks with Mauls, 2 squads of Hearthguard. One is a 5-man with Vulcanites and a Teleport Crest, and then there's a 10-man with a Teleport Crest running Plasma Guns. So a little bit more standard here. And then we have 3 squads of Pioneers. So we have that interesting change here where we're running 2 squads of 3, 1 squad of 6. And then we have some Jaegers to round the list off. So a lot of stuff actually in this list. Pretty hefty units. What do you guys think while I fix the Discord link? Who wants to start?
He doesn't have land fortresses.
Yeah, good call out. Yeah.
Which basically means there's 9 Thunderkin and 15 Hearthguard that are just walking around.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, so everything... Oh my god, yeah, he's going to have to run the 5-man in Deep Strike 2. And
I'll pray for you.
The Thunderkin are going to have to come in from reserves or walk their way up the table. Oh boy. That's an interesting call out. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, he's got the Votannic Council, right? His narrative Votann. He got one of every character except Uthar.
With only having 5 Berserks and 10 Warriors, he has to start all his Warriors in Sagittars, so he can't sticky his home objective turn 1.
Oh,
Oh my god, you're right. That too.
This list worries me the most out of all of them.
Yeah,
This
maybe
was the one
was
where
the
I started
narrative list. I think Lou signed up for the wrong event. Yeah, you're right, man. Oh my god. Well, I mean, you could start the Warriors in, then you jump out and sticky, but I don't know. I've seen people do it. I think Siegler does that when he plays Votann, but I'm not a fan. I think I don't know. I think there's something missing here. Probably a land for it.
Yeah, I would have tried to, I guess, not play narrative at Worlds.
Yeah. Maybe he's
I would've done.
he's just so ready with this list that it's gonna take the
Yeah.
podium with the
Yeah,
narrative
you know what?
Grimnir, and then
Maybe
Grimnir's
we're-
gonna eat like a 15-point hike at the end of the event.
Who are we to say? Who are we to judge, Sweet Lou?
Yeah, I mean, Sweet Lou has pulled off some crazy wins before. We've seen it on the channel. So I'm
Yeah.
super curious. I know he does tune in sometimes to the videos. Not sure if he's here tonight, but Lou, if you could weigh in a little bit, really curious to hear what the list goal is with this, like what the game plan is and how you see it performing. Yeah, Stuart says no land forts. Yeah, no land forts. Crazy, eh? Mr. Wolf, are you still here? What can you tell me what the Discord link where it's sending you? I'm not. Or maybe one of you guys could click it on the stream. I can't seem to find the issue on it.
Where is the Discord thing?
It might be in the description. I don't know if I put it in the description. It might be in the description.
Maybe it's the doc that he's referring to. Does the doc have
Oh,
its
the
own
document. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe he
it's the
could put that. The document is made by someone else.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it might be that. I think it's. I'll test it out. People are still joining the Discord as of today, so I think it might be the document. Okay. In any case, I'll wait for him to. Whose list is this? This is Sweet Lou's list, Stuart. This is Sweet Lou. We've had a couple of his lists on the channel before. I'll bring us back to the top. Yeah. So a narrative list. This is either gonna be a narrative list or this is gonna win the event. I don't think there's any in between here. So we'll see how this one performs. All right, so we've made it to the very end, the last two lists, which are... You sure they're the same list? From Germany?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a Broke here Iron. This is being run by Tim Schneider, and it's also being run by Max Cantor. So we have... It's called Hammer Time. Love that. I know exactly what's coming. So we got Broke Here Iron Master running Appraising Glare. We then have an E-Champ with nothing, running a Dark Star Axe. So we're going for a little bit more, I was going to say cleave, but a little bit more volume of attacks. 2 squads of Warriors, 2 squads of 10. And then we got the Berserks. We got a 10-man squad of Berserks with Mauls, a second 10-man Berserk squad with Mauls, 10 Jaegers, 12 bikes set up in 2 squads of 6, 2 land fortresses, and then 3 Sagittars. So, Jordan, I think this is your favorite one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This list. He's already won a GT. He's already won 8 games in a row with this list. I should say Super Major. He won a Super Major already.
Yeah.
This list is incredible. It's proven, like, it's true as rot, right? Like, we know this list is probably one of the best Votann lists you can take. And I do want to say, so the big difference, like the big question over this list, right, that Max and Tim are bringing is, how does GW terrain affect the 10-man Berserk squads coming out of the Hecatons? Are they going to be able to make the charges that they are able to make so much more easily in their other terrain formats? So, that's the only question, right? Like,
that's a fair question.
But it's a huge one, right? Like, it's one of the most important parts. Your Berserks making and like a 5-inch charge compared to 9, that's substantial, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and with such a key unit, it's 200 points.
Yeah.
But it's a really good list.
It's a scary list to play against. I've only tried the 10-man Berserk squad once, and it's like crack. Like I just feel like you can't put that down once you try a 10-man Berserk squad. Like they just plow through anything, and they just keep going.
Good.
It's crazy.
And with that many bodies, that's if your opponent's like, I'm gonna chew through all these berserks in melee, it's like, how many 4-ups do you roll on Fight on Death? Like, oh my gosh, trying to deal with this thing in melee is a nightmare.
And I think they're misleadingly like durable, right? Like they have no save, but the 5-up feel no pain on like 2-3 wound bodies makes such an impact on like how you receive damage and just the overall survivability of the squad. They tank a lot, weirdly, to put them down, which is really cool.
Yeah. I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yep.
One major factor about this list, I really don't like the 10-man. And Otto will go over this, like how the terrains are different and how it's not performing as well. But I will say that the 10-man, especially a 2-unit, would do extremely well into Death Guard, which is like one of our antithesis of a matchup. Because you're not afraid of that Plague Marine bubble or that the Plague Bearer. No, I forgot the name of the Terminator. But
like
Death Shroud?
Death Shroud.
Yeah,
guys,
Black Shroud and the other one. These 20 will actually do a lot of work into those Death Guard matchup, which is like one of our hardest ones.
Yeah, I agree. So Sam is actually our veteran Death Guard player, and I agree. Like just the 5-man, right? Like yesterday, it didn't get to fight like the one in the middle of the table where you had your Terminators, which is funny because it's like the point Dan's making, but you had to play around it because they could crack Terminators like easily. And
yeah, I think the 10-man into like it's going to be, I looked at the Death Guard list and there's a lot of Death Shroud spam, a lot of people playing 3x6, and the 10-man is such a clean answer to that. Like there's just nothing you could do about that with the plasma axes.
Yeah, even the
And
malls
because of their durability, the other foil that the Death Shroud have is that if something wants to charge them, they overwatch with their flamers. But their damage 1 flamers into the Feel No Pain, they're not going to kill a single one of these guys.
Yeah, they won't take down a 10-man squad. It took like you had to overwatch and then you shot like 3 other flaming units in to bring them all down. It's just like it throws the math off. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, I think I really prefer the mauls in 10-mans because it helps remove the weakness of the maul, which is variance, right? Like a unit with 16 attacks compared to 32, it's literally double, right? And so you're gonna be able to, even if variance is bad, variance being bad on that still often means you kill the unit. Whereas otherwise, in like a 5-man, if variance is bad on the mauls, you're suddenly not killing the unit, and then disaster strikes, right?
For sure. Like with 32 attacks, you could get all the damage through that you wish you could get on a 5-man if you rolled average, but you never do. So like the 10-man is just so good at that with the mauls. I was talking to Sam about it. I was thinking about running like, I think for me like the optimal loadout would be like 2 5s with axes and like a 10 with mauls. If I had the berserks for that, like I'd love to try that out on the table. Like that seems crazy good.
Also, maul grenade launchers in the Death Guard matchup are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the Death Guard player is like, all right, I'm gonna rapid ingress my Death Shroud, and you're like, it'd be a shame if I shot all my grenade launchers into him, and now your 9-inch charge out of rapid ingress is still going to be a 9-inch charge next turn. And it's like, oh my god.
That literally happened. That literally happened when we played. And what was your movement? It went to like a 2-inch move.
Yeah, Death Shroud moved 4 inches baseline.
It's like the rule Death Guard, like it's like their greatest weakness is like slowing abilities, and not too many factions have it, to be fair, and we're one of them that just kind of generically have it in all of our lists.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I do think that the axes are better than Death Shroud specifically, just because you're wounding on 4 with both weapons either way. Well, 3s if they're double judged. Like it doesn't actually make a breakpoint because of the -1 to be wounded. I don't know.
That's a good point, actually. But and then like assuming you pop your minus, are Death Shroud 3 or 4 wounds? They're 3.
There's
each.
3 wounds each. Oh, -1.
They have -1 damage from the sorcerer.
Yeah.
They could have, they could have -1 from the
Oh
sorcerer.
yeah. How many? I guess. Do we know how many Death Guard is like? Is it if you take 6 Death Shroud, you're also taking the sorcerer? Is that
Yeah,
what Death
most
Guard
lists
players
are
are doing?
triple sorcerer, triple 6 Death Shroud.
Yeah.
But
I guess
some
you kinda
play
have
around
to.
with like Typhus or someone in the in one of the squads, or Lord of Contagion. For example, the second list I see has 2 sorcerers and 1 Lord of Contagion. The third list has 3 sorcerers.
Yeah, the sorcerer, the termy spam is quite popular right now.
Yeah.
So that brings up an interesting point. I wonder, like 10 berserks with axes sweeping into Death Shroud, since they'll still be wounding on 4s if they're double judged. And then the -1 damage has no impact because they're damage 1, but you effectively double the attack. So you have 72 attacks coming in, 72 attacks hitting on 2s, wounding on 4s, AP 3, which pushes your invuln.
Yeah, it's definitely worth doing the math on that.
That would be
crazy.
That's actually quite insane, because the Death Shroud have -2 damage, not just -1.
Oh, it stacks.
If you use the stratagem, yeah.
Oh my god.
So that 1 damage, 72 attack is very valuable.
Yeah.
So we've always been on the Axe train. All right.
Yeah, so I guess into Death Guard, if this Death Guard meta actually ends up being like a super big menace after this event and everybody's running triple Terminator lists, then yeah, maybe that's the way to go. But I do feel like in general, you probably want the 10-man with the horns.
Yeah. Death Guard is really not a menace. It's just for us specifically. It's like the antithesis of our existence. Like, what the Berserk, like, another thing about Berserk, they save on 6 or 7, I don't remember. The -1 save doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, they just always rely on their feel no pain.
Death Guard is an antithesis for me because Noah Nurendorfer is on Death Guard, and he's in my local area. And if I ever have a dream of ever winning a singles event, I'd also have to beat Noah on Death Guard. Which seems unlikely.
Yeah, Death Guard is tough for us. Every time Sam and I play, it's like very close. Like one of us usually wins by like an 11-9 or something.
It's
or
a
like
pretty good matchup, I think.
Yeah.
It's not like a blowout matchup. Like
it's always very close.
40k can be. Yeah.
We're both playing the same game.
Yeah. It's like both of y'all are too slow to go like actually threaten the home objective.
Yeah.
And so it's like we're gonna fight honorably over the center. And maybe pressure when somebody's natural, right? So.
Yeah, I missed this funny comment from Stuart when we were talking about Sweet Lou's list. He said, "Watch him win worlds." So yeah, that would be pretty crazy to see. Okay, so
to remind, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Dan.
Just to remind everyone, this list and Tim is the favorable player after Goonhammer did their statistics and analytics. You can have a further read on it, but it's not like taking player skill and luck and all that. It's just like running straight simulation, and he is the most likely winner out of the whole event.
Okay. I see it. Like, this is a very strong. We've seen it, right? Like, in that last list review that we did, like, Jordan called out, like, 8-0 with, like, a Votann list is pretty significant.
Yeah.
That catches a lot of attention, for
His
sure.
player skill is really high too.
Yeah.
I know, like, I think there's somewhere where you can look at ELOs,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's pretty favored to win his group.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
yeah, he's definitely he's one of the few. I think like this guy could be the one that wins worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That like is a standout amidst a sea of incredible players, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. Well, if he wins, it's going to be a very easy list review for me because I literally did his list last week, so I'll just re-upload the same video.
Well, we also have to talk about Max too. He's running the same list.
Yeah, Max is running the same list.
You know they've been in cahoots. They've been talking to each other. I bet you Max plays at a very similar level of Tim.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count Max out either. Both of them I think are basically at the same level, right?
Yeah, it's the same list. You're right. That's funny.
So.
I have a question about the bikes. So, the 2 squads of 6. I'm not a fan, but I know Jordan lives and dies by 18 bikes.
Yep.
So maybe Dan and Sam, where do you guys land in this?
This is my hot take that I don't want to say, but I'll say it anyway. I don't like bikes, not at all. Maybe as a unit of 1, but
Yeah.
I realize this is a hot take just because their save is so paper.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I view it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, man. I just never really managed to get it. I tried it only once, to be fair, but I just never really got it to stick and say, like, oh, yeah, like, there's something here. Sam, what do you think?
I like the bikes a lot. I think it's me and Jordan against you and Dan right now. Yeah, I think I
will
like
say
the bikes.
I'm
Sorry,
a
go ahead.
popular opinion, but sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
No, I like the bikes a lot. I feel like every list, or unless your list is skewed to a very specific thing and you have a very specific game plan, you could just freely start your list with 2 squads of bikes, 2 squads of 3, or a squad of 3 and a squad of 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you want to go more than that, then yeah, just run 18.
I just
Roll
can't
all
get it
dice.
to work, man. I just can't. I gotta watch one of Jordan's streams. Like, I just can't get it to work. I gotta
You just
pick up
gotta
another
play.
set.
A lot of people try to be really like aggressive with them because they see 9-inch scout, but I think a lot of times I can't get the angles on turn 1 that I need from a 9-inch scout and a 12-inch move to shoot what I want to shoot. And even if I could, right, I'm tossing that unit away.
Yeah, it's dead.
Right, like I almost exclusively use them as like they uppy downy in like my deployment zone, and they like help like hold my sides, like my flanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really hard for your opponent to dedicate resources to like a specific flank to kill that 6 unit, right?
Okay.
It's just so much harder to do that, especially with you uppy downying. You kind of like you'll know if those bikes are going to be in danger where you're putting them or not. So
Yeah, I
you
think
just get a lot of shooting, especially in this list, right? Like he doesn't have Hearthguard, so bikes
True,
are actually with sustained hits too. Bikes are actually a stronger unit in shooting than the Hearthguard are. And so you kind of like you get the best of both worlds, right? You get better melee with the 10-man Hearthguards, and then you get better shooting with your bikes, and your shooting is much more mobile. In this list.
I do agree with that. Like, if you're not running Hearthguard, like, you need the bikes. You need the 6-man for the firepower. You do need some kind of, like, range damage threat. Even if you're running 20 Berserks, you just need it, right? Like, any good list will have that option. Otherwise, you're playing World Eaters without the tricks. So, you need the shooting.
Yeah.
I got to try it out. Maybe I'll pick up another squad of bikes. I'll try doing the 3-man and the 6-man. I don't think I want 18. I just, like, hate even building them. I think I'm with Dan on this one. Like, if I could run none, I would definitely run none. But, like, they do natively, undeniably have some kind of value, just like board presence going up and down. And the firepower on 6 could be good. into the right targets as well. I do think like if you grenade and you double sustain, you could kill a Catan in shooting, like with grenades, sustain 2, double judged. But they're so fragile. That's like I just never feel like I got value out of it. But I got to try it again.
It's a very finesse unit, which doesn't work for my Unga Bunga brain.
It's also on GW layouts. It's table 7 and table 8 bikes are really bad. Because those are, I don't know if you've seen those. I mean, I'm sure we all have, but
it's like
you know,
the one
they've
just
got
like a wall, right? Like a wall of
terrain. Got the Great Walls of China, right? And bikes, those maps say your bikes can never move past the halfway point with their uppy downy because it's too easy. Like we as a faction have an issue where if something is behind a wall, the only way we can get it out, like if the only way we can kill something that's staged behind a wall is with melee, right? That's the only thing we can do. But our melee is not fast. So if it's not within, like you gotta account for, all right, I got 8 inches out of a disembark, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got your charge inch range, whatever. And on those maps, map 7 and map 8, you don't have the distance from a disembark and a move to get reliable charges to clear their staged units. So you can never clear their stages, right? And your bikes will never be able to uppy downy past basically your deployment zone.
Yeah, that's true.
So
definitely. I think it's a harder list to play than, like, I run the triple land for it and the Hearthguard, and I do think that the bikes are a harder unit to play with, but you get more out of them for sure. It's just tough. Like, you can't misplay that or else you lose the squad. I missed this from this morning, but Aaron Easley, thank you so much for becoming a member. That's awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. At 9:49 a.m. So you tuned into the stream when I wasn't here and you became a member. I love that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. And message me on the Discord if you're on the server, and I will promote you to the Votannic Council as a high cal. So you'll be able to join in on some behind-the-scenes discussions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so that wraps up all the lists. I guess as we move towards the end of the video, let's just take a quick moment and put our votes in. So one at a time, we'll just say who our favorite list is, or like one list that we're really looking out for or hoping wins. Starting with Dan.
I would go Colin Burns, simply because 3E champ.
Yeah. That's fair. Enough said, yeah.
Not the 3 rail cannons.
Not the 3 rail cannons. It's the 3E champs.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what about you, Jordan?
Oh gosh.
I'm just gonna scroll right to it. I already know where it is.
Yeah. I Tim or Max, they're the same, right? I guess Tim, right? I guess Tim, but I hold Max in basically the same regard.
For sure. Sam, who's your vote?
I think I'm gonna go with Simon.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That Simon is my
thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard. I think there's some incredible lists in here. Y'all.
Yeah, I agree. I'll reinforce Sam's point. I think Simon's list is really like, I think this is like the evolution of like where the 3 Landford goes towards. If you're like, yeah, I need like a little bit more trading. I really resonate with this. I relate to this a lot. I think I get what he was going for. And this is what I would try running if I ever made it to a world event. So I'm rooting for Simon. So that's great. So on the lookout for chat, keep an eye on Colin, keep an eye on Tim, keep an eye on Simon. And we have a couple people here in the chat as well that are attending the event. So best of luck, of course, to Demetrius and to Nick Blackburn. Let us know in the Discord how you guys did, how your matchups went. And chat, of course, if you guys have any questions, like feel free to reach out on the Discord. I'm sure anybody would be super down to answer your questions and share a little bit more about how their games went. Yeah, anybody have any closing thoughts about the event, about where they think Leagues of Votann are going to fall on the podium?
Statistically speaking, we are one of the strongest win rate faction, but
Weirdly, eh?
I don't think we're that strong compared to like top level play. But I really do hope we get a W here,
Yeah,
probably top 4 at least.
yeah, top 4 would be nice. I agree. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just see if chat. Rock and Stone, Matt, first RTT this weekend, so getting all the info I can get beforehand. Nice, Aaron. What list are you running? Let us know in the Discord. I'll take a look at it, give you my thoughts on it in real time. RTTs are great. I like it. I was supposed to go to a GT, and I just had some other priorities that I had to do, but next year I'll try for a GT. But I love RTTs. I think that's like clean. It's like one day, you play 3 games, you try something out, and you could win. Pretty good. I like it. Good competitive way to play. Okay. So thank you to my Votannic Council for joining me tonight. Big thank you to Dan, to Jordan, to Sam for taking 2 hours out of your evenings. Dan especially for traveling 30 hours today to the event that we're talking about and coming online to share his thoughts with us and his wisdom. So appreciate you guys all coming on. And a big thank you to Chad as well for tuning in and for keeping a really high view count throughout the entire stream. That's big. So thank you guys. Let's get some hearts in chat, some likes on the stream if you haven't already. And if anybody's here who hasn't subscribed, but I doubt that, then please do feel free to subscribe as well. It really does help the channel out a lot. Yeah, so with that said, we'll catch you all probably in a quick video after Worlds to just talk about the lists, the top performing one, and cast our. We'll see which casted vote was the correct pick. You guys, maybe I'll make a poll inside of the Discord server, and we can see which one of our picks is going to be the most voted among the kin. That's a good idea. We'll do that.
How Sweet Lou heard our list discussion, and he came for us, and he won Worlds.
Yeah,
And he said, "Who are y'all?
Yeah.
Who are y'all?"
Then we pull him on. We pull him on for a sit-down talk, and we just interview him with all 4 of us. So, yeah, let's get some rocks. I got to get a rock emoji going for the channel. That's a good call. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And I'll catch you all on the Discord server. Take care.
Later, y'all.
Okay, let's just give it a second.